I am aware that you are allergic to conspiracy theories, and that I have no idea what the major media companies are up to, but one thing I often wonder about is how you can't seem to watch an entire hour of television in the United States without hearing about men's genital size, and how anyone who isn't very big isn't a real man and doesn't belong in today's society. I've always thought I'm average and haven't had many problems there. However, today's young girls, even those who make an effort to appear nice, are quick to voice their preferences, the bar's largest one. If you are unlucky enough to be seated with a group of them, you will frequently overhear them guessing, comparing, exchanging pictures, and other such activities. It stinks. Enzyme commercials that aired on loop on stations like Comedy Central in the late 1990s kind of set the stage for this whole thing in the United States. Also, I know that women have always preferred big men, but the media's aggressiveness these days is disgusting. Before becoming a card-carrying MGTOW, I believe that women should not be shamed either. All of this seems to me to be signs of a sick society. Because I'm naturally suspicious and occasionally get carried away by conspiracy theories, I ordered a book that I haven't even started reading yet. The idea of this book is terrifying, so I ordered it. Libido Dominandi is about how the powers that be have used deviance as a cover for trying to take away your rights throughout history. This makes perfect sense to me because the internet has destroyed the music industry and replaced it with adult content. I believe that copulation itself will eventually be reserved for a select group of people who are higher up and permitted to have it in the first place, and that a great number of other people will be deemed unfit to have it. A case system based on the number of male members, and I don't think it's good that there are more adult online materials. I used to be addicted to such materials, but I no longer am. The quote from this video that stuck out the most to me was about how our species is like a tsunami coming, and we don't know what will happen. Additionally, I find it deeply troubling that adult acting for many young girls is regarded as a respectable career and artistic expression. Also, I think it's not a coincidence that many women are now producing adult content. It appears that you want us to discuss two distinct subjects. I'll talk about addictions in the second half of this video, while I'll talk about the obsession with male genital size in the first half. First of all, for men who aren't aware, women seem to have no shame when it comes to sharing their partner's moles, size, and other defining physical characteristics with their friends and sisters at ladies' nights out. This is something that men don't know about. Who knew, though, that it is supposedly men who objectify women? At girls' nights out, women secretly target men. Ironically, they believe that we men discuss women in the same manner. During a ladies' night out, I had the opportunity, or the misfortune, of hearing what was going on. Regarding the instance I'm referring to, it was a ladies' night out at my house. After taking my medications, I was lying in bed. 5 women, including my ex-girlfriend, began comparing their current men to the men they used to be with as I listened to cackling through the semi-closed door. My girlfriend at the time, for whom I lost my card, had only been with one man before me, and I was almost 25 years old at the time. Additionally, I was not criticized for not measuring up because he was supposedly smaller. The other woman, on the other hand, had been around at least 4 or 5 guys, and they were telling stories about how guys with long parts could make them happy. I was also listening to women in their 20s and 30s talk about their unicorn, the shower grower combination. I also recall receiving an inundation of spam in the late 1990s and early 2000s regarding genital size enlargement, as if there were some sort of pill available for basically having bad genes. Let me rephrase, not necessarily bad genes, but genes that make many women today unsuitable. In the past, the majority of men and women looked pretty much the same in their 200 or 300 family and village members' small circles due to a lack of genetic diversity. However, genetic diversity is present and women's gossip is as diverse as ever now that we live in huge cities. No pun intended. That fateful evening also taught me that men enjoy sending pictures to women. Men were sending them pictures for half of the conversation I overheard. Keep in mind that webcams were limited to low-quality digital cameras in this era. A few people were still using flat scanners and Polaroids, and a half-dozen young women were enthralled by the number of pictures they received from young men. Additionally, it brought to mind the same scenario as when men solicit women's phone numbers. Men and women detest it when they compete for phone numbers. However, at the same time, these women were competing to see who could get the most pictures and the largest sizes from the internet. The leading copulation addiction expert interview with Dr. Patrick Carnes discusses the brain reshaping effects of addiction in that video, and this made me reflect. Don't you think that the proliferation of digital technologies, which provides women with an endless supply of men to give them attention, is beginning to alter the way women think? They are not only expecting a lot of male attention, but I think they are becoming increasingly unable to function without it. I believe that a woman will begin to experience some kind of withdrawal when the number of images being shared online of her suddenly decreases. She realizes that her desirability may be decreasing as she receives fewer pictures of this kind. One of the women brought along a gay man who was close to his 30s and was talking about his size at the same gathering I was referring to. However, his primary concern was, no pun intended, that he did not appear as young as the men he desired, because he claimed that one of the ways gay men attracted one another was by sending pictures, and because he was no longer able to attract guys between the ages of 19 and 20. However, if they believed the other man to be too old, they would not meet them, and nothing would transpire. Women don't have as many barriers as gay men do. That and the fact that a group of women objectified men to a single function or feature, essentially a toy, and laughed about it were the most shocking things I discovered. They were laughing in a way that reminded me of the time Cher Osbourne laughed about the poor man whose member was thrown into the garbage disposal. Our bodies are mocked by women. They look down on us. However, ironically, they are said to despise it when we do the same to them. They enjoy it in secret, but if we try to act like them behind closed doors, they will shame us in public. It's funny, but many women expect men to sit around and play poker and talk about their women's features, including how big in shape they are. That is not yet done by men. Women anticipate that we will sit around and discuss how a woman is down there. While simultaneously laughing at men's appearance and size, women are afraid of being criticized for their bodies and constantly feel threatened by their appearance. Anyway, let me now move on to the concept of addiction. A doctor discusses the general population's excessive eating and the epidemic of addiction in the United States. Moreover, a growing number of people are engaging in compulsive behaviors. Men are using online content as a stress-relieving strategy because they can't stop looking at it. Also, a lot of the time, people post on my channel saying that men shouldn't because it hurts our creativity and our ability to be ourselves. However, I have a strong counterargument that the internet does not satisfy men's amorous appetites. More men would get married, have children, and be ruined by the system if this were the case. When the doctor says that male addiction to adult material is terrible because it hurts men and causes mental illness, the alternative is a frustrated man who goes out and makes bad decisions that ruin his life financially and emotionally. The doctor has a point when he says that. These same doctors, who are probably married and in their 60s and 70s, are talking about the dangers of men looking at mature material. According to Dr. Carn, relationships are hard work and the internet makes things too easy, and no spouse can compete with the internet. At this point, addiction is, in my opinion, saving more men than it is harming. Additionally, I suppose we must ask ourselves a difficult question. Would we rather have dysfunctional men who are unable to have relationships that are traditionally gynocentric? Or would you rather live in a society where men are abused in more gynocentric relationships? I believe that the proliferation of online content and the internet itself are preventing a generation of millennial men from making some poor choices. All of that content on the internet is making men take their pills faster. Not to mention the fact that white knight has a problem with treating women like princesses. They are also addicted to the experience of romantic love, which is the cause of their addiction. Women want men to fall under the spell of romantic love, and in a way, they want men to become addicted to their physical presence. When it comes to exploiting men, it almost seems like women are born that way. How do other people feel about this theory? Is there truth to this?